As soon as we got a record deal, the record company said, don't do any more gigs. We're going to find a producer and a manager, and you just lay low until the record's done, that kind of deal. So even though we were still living in Hollywood, we sort of weren't really part of the LA scene at that point for another good year or so. And so we got in our own kind of trouble, you know, sort of behind closed doors and whatnot. And then finally we hooked up with the right people, Mike Klink to produce the record, and Alan Niven started managing the band, and we made the record, you know. And it was really, we made the record really quickly and cheaply and whatnot. And went out, started touring from the Cult. So basically when we got a record deal, we were no longer part of what I would consider the LA scene. And we didn't have any regrets about having been from there. We just felt a little bit more worldly than that. So as soon as we started touring, we became sort of an everywhere band, you know. We were on the road for about a year and a half to 2 years before, after the album came out, before anybody really knew what it was. Welcome to the Jungle had already been out, but Sweet Child of Mine and Paradise City sort of broke the band wide open. And then you sort of imagine, you know, your sort of like worst nightmare garage band unleashed in front of 50,000 people on any given day. And it was like that. It was fun, you know. The whole Guns N' Roses thing was all fucking awesome. It was such a great band. So that whole first couple of years of touring on the first record was a great experience, you know, like that hardcore kind of road stuff, from clubs to, you know, opening for different bands, opening for Aerosmith, opening for Alice Cooper was great. Opening for the Cult was great. And then our own headlining tours, playing with Motley Crue was a great fucking tour, you know, us and Motley. And, you know, so I have great memories from all of that. And then, you know, like the whole experience of getting the band back together to do Use Your Illusions and all the ups and downs, it was all worthwhile stuff to have gone through. And then all of a sudden finding out, after having just finished a tour opening for Aerosmith, and then finding out a year later that we were headlining stadiums, you know, we didn't see that coming, or at least I didn't. And so that was, you know, that was an interesting experience as well, and a lot of fun. Very indulgent and very excessive. And we did the Use Your Illusions tour, which lasted another 2.5 to almost 3 years. And then finally when that ended is when a lot of things started getting really hard. You know, we lost Izzy at one point, and we'd already lost Steven a little previous to that. And I managed to, you know, work with Duff and Matt and Axl to keep the whole thing going. You know, until I think it was like 1994, and then we stopped, and at that point realized that, you know, I suddenly discovered that there was a lot of issues, you know, between Axl and myself and a couple of the other guys, and it just started snowballing, and then finally came to a head, and then I quit in 1996, and you know, leading that whole splitting thing was really hard for me to do, because I'd worked so hard to keep that band together, you know, as far as my involvement was concerned. And but it just got to a point where it just wasn't working anymore, you know, so that was hard. But, you know, what else? What is it gonna do?